welcome to the Chrissy B Show. Now, after a busy or stressful day, there's nothing better than to come back to a lovely, cozy home where you can just relax and de-stress and forget about all the issues your day brought. But for some, the thought of going home is really stressful and they'd rather stay out as late as possible. Now, this could be due to a number of reasons, because perhaps the house is unorganized, it's messy or dirty. Perhaps people inside the home aren't, aren't getting along too well at the moment. But on today's show, we're going to be showing you and we're going to be discussing how to make your house a real home in every sense of the word. My guests tonight are Denise Morgan and Jennifer Neville, both life coaches, and we'll also have our weekly fashion tips later on from Lisa Marie as well. So if you want to get in touch at any point, you can email me on chris@chrissybshow.tv, or you can visit the website as well and submit a form from there. The website is chrissybshow.tv. But first, let's introduce our first guest, which is Jennifer Neville. Hi, Jennifer.
Hi.
Thanks so much for joining me on today's show.
Pleasure.
So I know, you have quite a nice home environment, don't you?
I do, yeah. I really love my home, and it makes a big difference.
So at the moment, you have a partner, and you're also expecting. So
I am,
congratulations
yes.
for that. Six months, you said,
6
right?
months,
okay.
yeah.
So, but you also said, you were telling me before that you've also lived on your own, because I know some people might think, oh, what's the point of making my house cozy? I don't have a family, I don't have kids, I don't have anyone really. But you can still have a nice place to go to, even if you are on your own, can't you?
Yeah, absolutely. And your home is an extension of you. It's a physical representation of who you are as a person. Mm-hmm. So have things around that you really love, that represent things about your personal style, about what you enjoy doing. Mm-hmm. I mean, if you find it difficult, things don't really spring to mind, think about somewhere you really enjoy being, and what is it about that place that you really like to be? Is it the colours they've got, the furnishings, some sort of textiles, plants around? Is it the way they've done the lighting? If you can think about all of those things when you come home, what is it that when you walk through the front door, it's going to tell you, I matter. This is, I'm important. And if you can't get that at home, then it'll be hard to carry on in life without it. So it makes a big difference, and actually leaving a nice home, it sets you up for the day, and actually gives you a little bit more confidence, and it's a nice place to be able to return to.
I think some people underestimate the importance of having a nice home to go back to. I mean, even if it's not the greatest place, but like you're saying, you can make it your own by having the familiar things around, just somewhere that, because everyone needs it. You've had a really horrible day, or you just need to relax for a bit, so you need to go somewhere that's nice and cozy and clean. So it's really important to have the cleaning aspect as well.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely. I mean, the more you're able to stay on top of that, the nicer it's going to be to come home to. No one wants to come home to clutter and mess everywhere. Yeah. But if you can make a pact with yourself and say, I'm going to do the washing up every evening before I go to bed, then when you come into the kitchen in the morning to make a morning cup of tea, it feels nice. It's not this sort of thing for the day, and it sets you up really nicely. So and having things around, I don't know if it's a blanket on the end of the sofa, just so you can sit there and get a bit cozy in your front room. Just nice things that you'd like, familiar things. Yeah.
I mean, some people as well say, my house is small, I've got a lot of stuff around, a lot of clutter, I can't make my home look nice. We've actually got a video to show everyone what you can do if you do live in quite a small space, and ways that you can save space and still make your house homey. So let's just take a look at this.
Hi, I'm Sabrina Soto, Target style expert for home and HGTV designer. And I'm here to show you that you don't need a big budget or a degree in design to get that designer look. You just want to start off with a very neutral foundation, and that could be with pieces that you already own. Your sofa, chair, tables. Now, if you do want to add an area rug, I love cream colored shag carpets. They bring in comfort and they can match any decor. Now, when it comes to small spaces, it's all about using multifunctional pieces, like this coffee table. The top flips up and you have the storage cavity, so you could put kids' toys in there, magazines, remote controls, close it, and no one will know the difference. The sofa I'm sitting on, it actually flips down into a guest bed, so you could finally have guests spend the night. And speaking of entertaining, just because you have a small space doesn't mean you can't split it in two. This is a pretty small space, but we have this dining set here and a bar cart, so you can entertain. Now, when it comes to wall art, it can get a little tricky. I see clients all the time either hang them too high or too low. You want the middle of the piece to be at eye level, so that's anywhere between 5 feet 4 inches to 5 feet 6 inches. Now, when it comes to window panels, I want you to hang it as high as possible. Trust me, the space will feel grand. You just want to keep in mind that the bottom of the window treatment should hit the floor, or if you want a more elegant look, you could puddle about 2 inches, but you never want them to be too short. When it comes to lighting, I love recessed lights, but you still want a few table lamps to bring in some ambiance. If you have a base that's very intricate, you just want to keep the shade very plain, vice versa.
Okay, so some great advice there, Jennifer, as well. So if you, even if you do have a small space, you can make the most of it as well. Now, what if you are like very, very busy, or say, for example, you're a new mum or you have children and you don't have that much time on your hands? What can you do in those kind of cases?
Yeah, well, I think we're all increasingly busy these days, aren't we? And we always seem to be rushing from one thing to the next. But actually, to take a little bit of time every day really does give you a lot more time and gives you a sort of a sense of a lot more time. So if you can spare 10 minutes just to stay on top of things, you know, if you notice 10 minutes every day to keep your house clean means that you don't have to sort of have a whole day allocated to it at any point.
Which is quite an off-putting thought for anyone.
It is, and no one wants to spend a whole day cleaning, but actually just 10 minutes a day really does make a difference, and you do stay on top of things. Another one that I quite like is the 30-second rule. So if something takes less than 30 seconds, do it instantly. And that could be just walking past a pair of shoes that you've left on the floor and putting them away.
Yeah.
And then overall, the whole thing, you sort of feel like you're on top of your house, but you haven't spent the time doing it. So you haven't, you know, lost anything really there, and you haven't had to commit any more time to it. Okay. Might also be nice to see if you could get someone to help you out, whether that's in the family or someone coming in to help you. I mean, if you're in a family household, get everyone involved. Have a sort of a allocated time where everyone has to do a bit. It doesn't matter what they do a bit which to them has been irritating or whatever. And that can bring the family together, and it gives everyone a sense of kind of joining in. And it doesn't take that much time after all, either. I mean, if you cook, put something in the freezer. It's so nice. I mean, I think it's fairly standard practice when you go to someone's house, or your parents' house rather, you open the fridge. It's the straight thing you do.
Yeah,
it's a comforting thing, there's food in the fridge. So if you can create the same for yourself at home, if you cook or if you have food, put some in the freezer.
Yeah,
so there's always like kind of something to come home to. You've got a decent meal, maybe home cooked or maybe sort of leftover takeaway, whatever it is, that actually then creates that sense of, you know, there's food in the cupboards and, you know, I matter.
Safe environment.
Yeah, right? Absolutely.
Going back to what you were saying as well about asking for help or getting someone in, I think a lot of people maybe see that as a failure, like, oh, I'm not coping, I don't really want to ask for anyone else to help me. But there's absolutely nothing wrong with doing that. If you are really like overloaded and you need some help, you need your family members to help, or even to get a cleaner in or something, there's no shame in that.
Oh, God, absolutely. No, we can't do everything. I mean, something has to give somewhere along the line.
As long as you're not there on your sofa like for half the day, just, you know, with your feet up and watching TV, that's something different, right? But if you are...
absolutely. I mean, maybe you can pull your finger out a little bit then, but no, I think, you know, to ask for help is actually a sign of strength, I think, because if you don't, then you're dealing with everything yourself and that becomes too much for you. So just to actually say, you know what, I could do with some help here, it will be really empowering. So, and I think you'll find it makes a big difference. Okay,
let's talk a bit more about the emotional side as well, because sometimes people don't enjoy their coming home time because of conflicts at home. So say, for example, people aren't getting along very well, or maybe money's tight at the moment, and like, if the family's struggling, how would you suggest to deal with things like that?
I think the family is obviously a very important aspect in people's lives, and if it's going well, if good relationships are good, then it's great. But it can be really straining on people if there are difficulties in the dynamics. So actually taking time for each other, maybe sort of sitting down to a family meal, asking genuinely how other people around you are, and listening to the answers will give them a sense of feeling loved and respected and understood, and that you're taking an interest in them. and then they'd be more likely to show that in reciprocation to you. So actually, although there may be a fraught dynamic initially, just by actually being genuine in asking a question,
not just being polite or just for the sake of it.
Yeah, exactly. But you know, being really interested in the people who are your family actually will give them a sense of value as well. So I think it may take a little bit of time. I'm not saying anything's a quick fix, that one question's going to solve everything, but it's just creating that state and making a sort of a pact with yourself to take the time for the other members in your family to say, you know what, actually, I want to listen to you. I want to know what's going on with you. What makes you tick? You know, maybe I think that would be really useful.
Okay. So. And how about the financial side of things? Say if money is tight, what do you think the family could do in that sense of the word?
Yeah, finances, I mean, it is a difficult time economically. We know that at the moment. So I think quite a few people are feeling this. Spending time with loved ones doesn't cost anything. Yeah. If you just sit round and chat, you know, you can create a really nice environment.
Does anyone still play board games? Because they're quite good to get families. Well, now it's the Wii and stuff, isn't it now? So
yeah, well, the board games may be the cheaper option if we're talking finances.
They don't have the other stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, that can be hours of fun. And they're not just for Christmas, the board games.
Exactly.
So. Yeah, I mean that's a great idea.
I think in that case as well, if there are financial issues in the home, again, I think it's important for the parents or whoever is in charge in the house. They should communicate that to the children and let them know. Obviously, depending on the age, but I think even with small kids, they need to know they can understand something, can't they?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, if you're honest with people, then everyone will start to pull their weight and do what they can to help.
Switch the lights off, do it like a
yeah, exactly.
Like
it can become a sense of togetherness, which I think will be really good. Going for a walk doesn't cost any money. There are so many things that you can do simply and actually bring you together. Go for a picnic rather than eating out. You can take your own sandwiches and crisps and piece of fruit, and actually that's not lunch in a restaurant for 4 people. That's a much cheaper option. There are lots of ideas, and cushions or throws can spruce up old furniture if you feel that everything's looking a little bit scruffy, and doing it very cheaply.
Even moving the room around, right? The
furniture
absolutely. Around, because that could give a whole new sense of something's different in here. Something's
definitely
not the same.
Yeah, I mean that gives it a completely different feel, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So change the way the lighting is. Put different music on. These things create ambience very quickly. And it doesn't have to be expensive.
Okay. Well, we have reached the end of the first part, Jenny. I told you it would go quickly, didn't I? All right, well, thank you so much for all the advice, and all the best with your new baby girl that's coming.
Thank you very much. I have to listen to some of my own advice.
Yes. So there's a big change for you, so all the best with everything.
Thank you very much.
And also, after the break, we're going to be joined by another life coach who's going to be sharing some other interesting information with us that's going to help you if you, for example, if you have a big family as well, and there's a bit of conflict there as well. She's going to be giving some advice about that. So we're going to go to a quick break. If you want to give us a call as well, if you have a question, you can do so on 020 7686 6300. Join us after this break. Welcome back to the Chrissy B Show, where we are speaking about making your house a home. Now, before we speak to our next guest, we're going to just show you a video of some gardening tips that Barbara went to film. Now, if you do have a garden, it is well worth investing in, because that's a lovely space for you to go out and have, barbecue with your family, or just to sit outside for breakfast with them and just have do something different with, break that routine that maybe you keep doing the same thing, eating inside or eating separately. So do make the most of your garden, and here's Barbara now with this video.
Hi, I'm here with Dilip, our garden expert. He's going to give us some tips on how to get your garden into shape. So hello Dilip.
Hello Barbara. Hi.
Are you going to help the people watching who've maybe never ever even attempted to touch their garden and improve it?
Yes, indeed, and this is a fantastic garden to have a look at. It's a garden predominantly of greens, and I was called in as a garden expert to help give it some new life. One of the most wonderful things about this garden is this arch created by these two loquat trees. I planted these trees about 6 years ago. They were only about £50 each, and they've formed this fantastic arch. Big specimens which you would pay the earth for now.
But how would somebody at home, if they didn't have the money to sort of pay for somebody like you to come along and rescue their garden and give it a bit of class, how would they do it themselves?
You'd look for a good shaped specimen in a nursery. You look for something with a nice straight stem, good head on it, about 1.5 meters tall, like I said, and then place them in your garden, and then over the years prune them very carefully.
So for people at home who are watching who haven't got a clue what pruning is, what exactly is it?
Well, it's knowing when to cut a tree or a plant at the right time of year, depending on what type of plant it is.
Can you tell us a little bit about this one then?
Well, it's a really beautiful climber, Barbara. It's called Trachelospermum jasminoides, star jasmine. It's got this lovely pale green leaf.
When's the best time to plant a plant like this?
Well, it all depends where you are. I would say the best time to plant, not to plant, I think that's probably a good way to describe it, is probably from about late, November until about February. Well, this one here is a bit of mint. Now there's an example of something that needs soil that can hold on to its water. So you need to match the compost you're using, particularly for containerised plants, with the plants that you're putting in. Sunday lunch, basically, will come out of that.
So what about these two plants here? They've been pruned. Have these been pruned? Is that what you call it?
They've been pruned. They've been clipped, actually.
What could they use to clip it?
A pair of shears or your ordinary garden secateurs.
And that you can get that from anywhere, can you?
You
Any
can.
gardening or even a supermarket?
Even
maybe?
a supermarket,
Yeah.
hardware shops again sell secateurs. Well, Barbara, I want to introduce you to Michael, my tree specialist, who's here to tell us about this apple tree that's behind us.
Yeah, I've been looking after this tree for some time now. It's almost due for another prune, but decided against it because it's full of fruit, so we'll leave it until the fruit is ready.
So if somebody had a problem with their tree and it looked like it might be a little bit sick or it's growing in the wrong direction, would they look for a tree surgeon to come and test, find out what the problem is and then solve it?
Ideally, I think that's probably the best person to contact.
Thanks a lot, Michael, for your tips there, and thanks to you too, Dilip. Have you got any more tips, just your last final thing to say to the public?
Yeah, just to remember that, gardens that come in all types and forms, and you can have a fantastic garden out of green colours and textures.
Yes, and I've learnt something today because I've realised that it's not all about flowers in the garden. You can have a lovely garden that's full of greenery and it still be beautiful. So I hope you've learnt something today, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you, Barbara B. Now joining us, we have Denise Morgan. Hi, Denise.
Hi there.
So nice of you to join us.
Thank you for having me.
Do you have a garden?
Yes, I do. I have a garden that takes a lot of maintenance.
But is that something that you enjoy with your family?
Yes, we all kind of work together in the garden. My sons
nice.
help me do all the hedging and cut the lawn. It's a big job.
Okay.
It's a big job.
All right, so
But
tell
it's
us,
worth
Denise.
it.
It's worth it, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely worth
Good
it.
for barbecues. I keep going back to food, don't I? Okay, let me stop. So tell us, what's the biggest problem that you'll find in a house, do you think, in a household?
Well, I have 5 children, and I think when you have quite a lot of children, I think communication is key to just keeping it all together, and also listening to each other. So I think I grew up in a very, very big family, like there was 15 of us.
Wow.
But we're all involved in the business, so really we were cheap labour.
Okay.
Because we all ran the
Yeah,
business, we all
yeah.
come home from school and worked. So we're all quite enterprising, which I'm very, very grateful for. And we always used to sit down and eat together.
Oh, I can just
And
imagine
every day
mealtimes.
there used to be 21
Wow.
because we had a hair salon as well as other businesses.
That must have been
and
great
they would
fun
come
altogether.
they would come and eat with us. So I think sharing meals together and communicating. And communicating, I mean really listening. Because some people listen but they're not listening. They're either doing something else or looking somewhere else. Active listening. So you've got to listen with your eyes, your ears and your body, because otherwise you're not really listening. And people know when you're not listening.
It's true.
So I would say communication, definitely. And I know in my house, because there were so many children, with me particularly, 5 of them, there were so many appointments. If we didn't have a calendar with the ins and outs and what was happening, we couldn't keep track of it.
Yeah.
And I always used to have a notepad. So if I was going somewhere or they were coming in or going out, we would leave notes for each other. So communication was always top.
Okay.
So that everybody knew when somebody was coming and going and what was happening.
In such a large family as well, and for the benefit of viewers that are from a large family, how do you, for example, as a mother or a parent, divide your attention equally, or if it's possible, how do you make sure that everyone's getting the attention that they need, and for example, when something's wrong with someone, or how do you know? What do you do?
Well, as I'm a middle child from a massive family, totally neglected.
Really?
Yeah, so neglected. Sometimes my mother didn't even remember my name.
Oh, gosh.
She used to say, "What's your name?" And so what I did when I had my children was I always made sure that I did something individually and unique with each one of them, particularly when they got older. But every single week we always went swimming as a family.
Right.
And I think it's really, really important to do things as a family. And you talked earlier about board games.
Yeah.
My house is full of board games.
Really?
But board games are also brilliant because it teaches them how to lose. You know what I mean? And how to be competitive and how to share and how to take turns. So there's a huge amount of learning goes on with board games. And
So
also,
it's not just the pastime, is it?
No,
It's quite
no,
interesting
no.
what you're saying, because
The
you do learn a lot of
Tempers,
skills.
particularly Monopoly. I would not
Yeah.
recommend Monopoly for a fiery family. And we're quite a fiery family.
Yeah.
But Monopoly, when they were younger, brilliant, worked. But as they got older,
Then the fists come out.
So some board games are good and others are not so good. Yeah, but definitely spending time with each one of them. And now they're all grown
And
up,
doing
they're
something
adults.
different, specific to
Yeah,
what
I
they
meet one
like.
son, I'll go maybe to an art exhibition with him. I'll meet another son and we might go, I don't know, to see the V&A or something. And then I'll meet my other son and we'll just go for a walk. Then I'll meet my daughter and we'll go and have a coffee. Then I'll meet my other daughter and we'll go and
How
have a
do you
wine.
have time for all of these things?
Because I make sure.
Yeah.
Because I think you only get children once, and I think they're just a gift. And I think you should treasure them and put time in, because when you put time in, you get it back 100-fold, and it's worth it. And particularly when there's 5 of them, there is a lot of jealousy.
Yeah. How old are
So,
your kids, if you don't mind me asking?
The oldest is 33 and the youngest is 22.
So you still make that quality
Yes,
time with them? That's
yes,
brilliant.
Yes, definitely. But then they do it for me. They do it for me now, so I'm getting my payback now. Not getting any money, but getting a payback. So yeah, it's worth it.
Okay. And
definitely
say,
worth
for
it.
example, it's great to have your family around you and everything, but what if you share a house with someone? Say you need a lodger, for example, because of financial issues, or you're a student and you're sharing accommodation with other people that aren't your family, that maybe you're not that close to. How would you make that a homely environment, do you think?
It's funny you should mention that, because I just have a lodger. She's a young Israeli girl, same age as my daughter, who's 22. She was quite an introverted, quiet girl, hardworking, and now going on to university. And I think because she was part of my family, we greeted her with open arms, and whatever we were doing, she was involved in it. She did have her own space, which she made like a little home for herself in her room. But I think it's important just to be real, not to be pretentious and not to pretend to be anything that you're not. And I think that's what we did with her. When she came first, we said how our lifestyles were. We said we like wine, we like cooking, we like baking. If you like any of that, you can join in with us. And it turned out that I had a garden party this year and she made absolutely fantastic cakes for it.
Really?
But
Aw.
completely different to how I would do them. So I learned from her as well, and so did my children. And I think my youngest daughter also learned from her, because she's a bit of a party animal, London girl, whereas this girl is quite
Bit more homey.
conscientious. She saved up her money for her first year at Leeds University. My son went to Leeds University. She could talk to him about it. So she got a lot from us, as well as us getting from her.
Yeah.
And I think my daughter has seen a 22-year-old who's completely different to her, who she would actually like to be like, and vice versa.
I think sometimes a lot of conflicts in families occurs when people are different.
Yeah.
And you really do have to take account of everyone's different type of personality. Because at home I was always the quiet one, and like my sister was the outgoing and loud one and everything.
Yeah.
But I was still felt accepted by my parents, even though they teased me a bit for being quiet, but so was she. So you have to really take everyone for who they are, and like you say, even if you are living with strangers, as that's another point. Again, I wouldn't say, because sometimes when students, for example, live together, they have their separate rooms. Okay, they have their separate rooms, but you can still create a family environment by eating together, by sharing food, not putting labels on everything. Oh, this is my butter with my name tag on it. I think that's when you start to get separated, and there's no communication because everyone's out for themselves. But if you create that sort of why don't you cook a meal like for everyone, all the other students, for example, and just bring everyone together? It makes it so much nicer to come home to, doesn't it?
Yeah, and I think as well in London, because I've been in London quite a few years, but I still find parts of London quite unfriendly. And I think it's important to just make people feel welcome.
Yeah.
And also I think when you have a lodger, to be assertive, because a couple of times I had to take her one side and I had to think very, very, for a long time, I had to think about how I would say it to her and how I would put it to her. Like it was my space as well, and sometimes I didn't want her in my space. So I had to
setting boundaries.
Yeah, I had to kind of figure out how I could tell her that without hurting her or without upsetting her, and it worked well.
Fine.
Because I have quite a lot of kids coming and going, and when I get the place to myself, I just want to be with myself.
I don't blame you, because it doesn't sound like you get much me time.
Yeah, so it was quite nice that we got over that little hurdle.
Yeah.
And also, if we were all going out, to let her know that she could have the place to herself, because that was important for her as well.
Now, a big problem nowadays is the work-life balance, because people do seem to be getting busier for some reason. There's so much to do now. How can you? What's the best advice you can give for someone that is a bit of a workaholic, and they're not really making much time with family or even just to relax a bit?
This is like a little pet project of mine, because I have some friends who busy up their lives, and I'm forever talking to them about being still. And a lot of people don't understand about being still. It's so important to be still and to take time out. And I think your earlier guest also mentioned this about taking time out, maybe 10 minutes, whatever. Because if you're never still, like for example, if you always have the radio on, the telly on, you're on the phone, you're on the mobile, you're on the iPad, you're on the computer, there is absolutely no time to listen to your gut feeling, because your gut feeling is what's unique to you as a human being. And if you're not listening to it, you're not really respecting yourself. So I think to be still, and it could be just sitting in the garden, it could be sitting in the park, but with no noise. And it's just really, really good.
So don't take your mobile phones to the park or your iPads like I do. I'm supposed to be relaxing. I do take my phone and my iPad just to check if anything is coming in. But it's true, we do need to relax and just to rest a bit and just to think.
And I think people are quite frightened to be on their own. There's absolutely nothing wrong with being on your own. In fact, it's quite healthy just to be with yourself, and have quiet time.
It is.
Yeah.
Because then you can collect your thoughts, can't you?
Yeah, you can have time to listen
even
to
make
yourself.
Some goals and stuff.
Yeah, listen to yourself and look after yourself. So yeah.
Okay.
Quiet time.
We've run out of time. It's time to go to another
Lovely.
break. Thank you so much for your advice.
Yeah.
Okay, and if you do want more information about any of my guests tonight, you can visit the website that's my email, sorry, chrissybshow.tv. And if you want to email me, chris@chrissybshow.tv. Well, after the break, we're going to be joined by Lisa Marie with some fashion tips. So join us then. Welcome back to the Chrissy B Show, and now we have joining us Lisa Marie, who's going to be sharing her fashion tips for this week. Hello, Lisa Marie.
Hi, Chrissy.
And I know you're really happy because of Mr. Usain Bolt winning.
Well,
so you're
Usain.
flying the flag for Jamaica.
Yeah,
all three of them.
1, 2, 3 in the 200 meters. So yes, up until now it was all Team GB, but as soon as the athletics hit, it was
Get
only
Team
ever
GB.
going to be Jamaica. So no, good on Team GB for what they've done on athletics, but it was only ever going to be about
Were you gathered with the
Jamaica.
family watching it?
Yeah, I mean, we held well, for my sister, we had a baby shower like last week.
Oh, okay.
But Olympics was still on in the background. And then on the Sunday, I was rushing around to my mum's to make sure that I got there for the 100 metres.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that was brilliant, wasn't it? Yeah. Oh, I loved watching that.
And then yesterday, exact same thing. I was doing a radio show, and then it finished at 8 o'clock. And normally, you know, as we're girls, you know, we don't like to have a bit of a chat and all that kind of thing. Yesterday, we were like, nope, sorry, you've got to go home.
Don't
like,
blame you.
Her husband was waiting outside, and she was like, he's going to kill me if we miss this final. Straight home, enough time to sit down, watch it. Fantastic.
Great. So now we're going to be focused on the fashion tips, right? Forget about the athletics for now.
Okay, just
tell
for a
us.
few minutes then maybe.
Okay, so what did you have to share with us today?
Well, going back to like the first show that I did when we were talking about like the staples for wardrobe and things like that, and one of the things that we spoke about and one of the items that I brought was a little black dress, because it's one of those things that every woman should have in her wardrobe because it's just a go-to thing. And as I said before, one of the easiest ways to update your wardrobe is not just always by getting the next thing that's in fashion, but updating your accessories and the things that can go along with it. So it's really important when you do go out shopping to think of what you have in your wardrobe as already, because I know what we're like. We go in the shops and you think, I want one of those, one of those, one of those, and then you're like, but I can only wear that with one thing in my wardrobe, so then it's quite limited in how you can put things together.
Yeah.
If you always have a good little black dress and then you just get all the different accessories and you keep updating those things, that one dress you can wear so many different ways. So for all the looks that I've got today, which is 3 of them, I'm using the same black dress,
Right.
which is an absolute bargain. It's a £30 dress from Florence and Fred at Tesco, because as we know now, you can go to your supermarket for car stuff, absolutely everything you need for your home, as well as getting some great clothes. So same dress as £30 from Florence and Fred F&F at Tesco for all my looks today. So if we can start with the first one, if we can see that on the screen.
It's there. They were ready for you already.
Oh, thanks, that's great. So
no, put it back. No, it's just taking it off. Okay, leave it there for a bit. Okay.
So this is kind of based around a really great star icon, which is Jackie O. And so, as I said, that little black dress there in the middle, £30 from Tesco. And then we've got this gorgeous scarf from Whistles, which is £45. And it's
scarf costs more than the dress. Okay.
But it's a scarf that you can use again and again. We've got the fabulous Jackie O style sunglasses, and these are a real bargain. They are £24.99, and they are Karl Lagerfeld, so designer sunglasses from a fashion favourite, which is TK Maxx, which is great, up to 60% off most labels, so they're brilliant. We've got the ring, and again, the ring is more than dress, but it's a bit gorgeous, I think. It's from Karen Millen, and it's £65, but again, it's a ring that's going to take you season to season. And the bag is by Principles by Ben DeLisi at Debenhams, £29. And these beautiful shoes from stylistpick.com, they're actually designed by Cheryl Cole, and they are $79.90.
Okay.
So a whole different great outfit you can put together. And as I said, just using the same one black dress, you can obviously look for different alternatives for some of the things that I've put there. So that ring is just, I just thought it was absolutely fabulous. But if you go into lots of different high street stores, you're going to find similar rings at much cheaper prices, including, which is a firm favourite with a lot of people, Primark. You know, I think their rings start at like £2.50. So there's lots of different ones to choose from. The same like with the shoes. All those kind of things, but some things are really good investment pieces, because a lot of what I put in there you can actually take from season to season. You can break it down and wear with so many different things as well, which is great pulled together as one look there, representing Jackie O, as I said, firm favourite. So the next look, this one I based on things that are to come, because as we know, unfortunately, the seasons are about to change once again, even though it really doesn't feel like we've had a summer.
We've had a
couple of minutes of sunshine every now and again, and then it's just thunderstorms. So this one is taking a look at what's happening for next season. So we've got this really nice colourful blazer, and it's £69 from Lush at Joy. We've got this beautiful bag. It's £39.99 from H&M. And the necklace is £14 from Wallace. And these wedge shoes are £30 from Dorothy Perkins. So wedges, yes, they're great for spring, summer, but we can also take them into autumn, winter. And again, for people who are not like myself, who love heels, the higher, the better.
I can see, yep. Can't see, it's hiding behind the table.
Sorry, guys. But for next season, if you don't really, are not that comfortable, I should say, in walking in heels, wedges are another good alternative because they give you the height, but also are very comfortable and a lot easier to walk in because it is all on the one level that you're walking on. So these shoes also come in a couple of other colours, but black, as we know, is just an easy way to work into your wardrobe. I think I actually have those pair that they have. Yeah, so comfortable, really great. But it's looking ahead, so because autumn, winter stuff, if you go into the shops now, they've already started. So everywhere you look, you've got your berry colours coming in. You've got like the teal green that was in that bag. So that'll be one of the future shows that are coming up soon to actually give people what are the key pieces and the key colours for next season as well.
Right, okay.
And so my next one, animal print. What woman really doesn't love a little bit of animal print?
True.
Leopard print is one of my go-tos. So again, the same dress, £30 from Tesco. And we have these leopard print heels, which are gorgeous, from June, and they're £85. The red belt is £6 from ASOS. The red bag is only £7.99 from New Look. And we have this beautiful necklace, it's from River Island, it's £12. And these beautiful gold stud earrings are from New Look and they are £3.99. So with leopard print, I know some people are scared, which is why with this one I've toned it down a little bit because there's so many different ways to incorporate it. It doesn't always have to be such a dressed up look, or as some people used to associate it with, oh my gosh, the Coronation Street, was it Bette Gilroy? Yeah, always in a leopard print. But it's a way to do it and do it classy. You shouldn't do it head to toe, just incorporate it into your outfit. And red is just an easy way to help to make that leopard print kind of pop. But you can use it as a scarf, like I was saying, you can do something really casual, so dress up your jeans, whatever top it is you're wearing, with a nice leopard print scarf. If you're bold enough, a nice leopard print top, because not all leopard print has to be the kind of the brash one that we've got there that everyone knows. A lot of people do a lot of things that are more toned back, so it's more brown toned, so it's a lot easier for people to try to wear if they are trying to dip their toe into the animal print kind of way to go.
Yeah. Okay. Is that your tips for today?
Those are the ones I have, but what, as I said, little black dress is always the way to go. It's one of the top things that you can actually put into your wardrobe, and there's so many different styles. The one that I chose was one that it suits kind of all kind of body shapes because it's the A-line type skirt. So look for which one that actually suits your body type as well.
Wonderful, thank you so much for those valuable tips. So you don't have to spend too much, as Lisa was just saying, so you can just use one dress over and over. No one will even know about it.
Especially guys, don't know it.
Okay. Now, Lisa, I just want to go back to some of the things we were speaking about earlier, because I do know that, you know, in the home, sometimes there is a lot of conflict. And a lot of this can be avoided because, for example, I was speaking about not sort of accepting people for who they are. And I know you're also from, like, you've got family of 3, aren't you? Was it 4?
It was 3, but now we've had step family, so now we're like 8.
and you really do have to accept people for who they. It's not to say, for example, if you see your child making a mistake or your teenager, you know, starts taking drugs, you're not going to say anything. Of course you are. But there's things about them, their personality, if they're very quiet, for example, not to, you know, try and push them to be really loud or like their brother or sister. And, you know, one of the terrible things sometimes parents will say, which really destroys a child's self-confidence, why can't you be more like your brother? Why can't you be more like your sister? Now, that child probably already has some insecurities, but to say something like that to them, they make them feel that you don't love them, that, you know, they're not accepted for who they are as well. So that's something that parents, you really have to be, you know, very, very careful, because I have spoken to a lot of teenagers that they do feel out of place at home because they don't feel that they're accepted because parents make these kind of comments. And I don't think most parents, when they say things like that, I don't think they're trying to be cruel. And they're not trying to you know, say it on purpose. It's
No,
just
I think
they're just trying to maybe
they're trying to think that they're encouraging that
Exactly.
child to act like the other one, whereas everyone's different. Which I'm so grateful that, I mean, me, my brother and my sister, my mum was a single parent when she brought us up, and all of us very different personalities, but
Yeah.
all of us, like your other guest was saying, she made it to spend time with all of us. And we grow up, we didn't have a lot of money around, so board games, Scrabble, all those kind of things. And Mum used to play lots of different word games with us as well when we were younger. So she made time, you know, and did what she could with what she had as well.
Yeah.
So we had a great time.
as well. I think something else is really important is try not to nag too much as well. Now this goes for ladies as well, who do tend to get I'm talking about myself as well. Okay, someone's saying into my ear now, and men, all right, thank you. I know men do it as well, so I'm just going to just expose them now. Okay, men do it as well, but I know ladies do it as well. We do sometimes tend to nag when we don't like something, but again, that can be very, very tiresome, and especially for children as well, not just husband or wife, children as well, because they always think that you're not approving of anything. So remember that, or what I try to do is maybe just say something once and then not keep going on and on about it. But as well, if you're able to nag and to talk about the things that you don't like, what about the things that you do? And sometimes in families, we tend to not see the good in each other anymore, and instead of seeing like the positive things and praising the other person for that, saying, oh, you know, you're such a good husband, or thank you for doing that, or I love the way you look after the kids, you know, things that will really help the person's self-esteem. We can be so critical, and just all the negative stuff can come out of our mouths, and that's something that you have to be really, really careful of. So I want to give everyone a little bit of homework, if you don't mind. So maybe you don't realize that you know, you say a lot of negative things to your family members, and maybe that's why some of them don't enjoy being in the home environment. So how about for this week, just do a little test and try to make everything that comes out of your mouth and what you say to your family, try to make it positive. So if there's something that you're burning to say, like for example, why did you leave your socks on the floor again, or you know, little common things that come up, don't say anything. For example, just pick them up and just put them in the basket and don't say a word. Don't you know, put anyone down. Don't say, you know, where have you been? All these sort of things that cause conflict. Try not to say anything, but instead replace things and say, give your family compliments. Say to your husband, for example, you look gorgeous today. Look at you, what a stud. Or, you know, your wife's had a hairdo. Notice that she's had a hairdo. Give her a compliment about it, because women like to be noticed, right? Especially from their partner as well. Your kids, when they do something good, praise them about it. Don't just keep pointing out the negative stuff. Do that for a week, and then let me know, you know, by email how that went. And I'm sure it's going to make a huge difference. And actually, you know, a week isn't enough. You shouldn't just do it for the week and then stop doing it. But, you know, it's something that you should continue doing. But I'm sure that you're going to be able to see a difference in your household just after 1 week. You're going to notice a big difference. Are you going to do the homework?
Yes, I will.
I'm going to do it too, because we'll have to watch out for these things.
Yeah.
Okay, we have reached the end of the show, unfortunately. Monday's show is titled Miss the Mummy, and we'll be looking at the growing trend of stay-at-home dads and what difficulties they have and how they cope. And if you'd like to make a comment on this topic, do get in touch via email, chris@chrissybshow.tv, or visit the website chrissybshow.tv. We're going to leave you now with a funny video. Thank you, Lisa Marie, for joining us, and you'll be again next week, right?
I will be.
Okay, and we'll see you again on Monday. So have a wonderful, wonderful weekend, and remember, be happy.
Vai,